الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream on a sunny yet cold Wednesday, and we are now officially deep into the winter as we got some action downstairs in the soup kitchen. You know that we're in the third floor of the soup kitchen. Soup kitchen is on the first floor, tenants live on the second floor. We're on the third floor. We're 1 mile out from the famous Bob Wood Medical Center, university hospital. So there's a lot of action over there, and there's a lot of there's a lot of foot traffic where we live, where the soup kitchen is. And we got the local Muslim high school, which is one of, I would have to say, the best in the nation, probably top 5. They're coming in, bringing tons of stuff: oil, sugar, pasta, diapers, wipes. You know, diapers are the most underestimated thing that people need. It's true. Moms need it. And one of the greatest reasons for depression in homes of the fuqara, you won't believe it, it's the absence of diapers. Why is that the case? Because it makes the home smell bad. If a woman, she's got a budget of 2 diapers a day. This is what happens. People don't know what poverty is. I mean, I wouldn't have known this unless Salim Patel and Smile did a study on this. I remember they shared it with me. I was like, diapers? Yeah, because the mom has a baby, but she has a ration of 2 diapers a day that she could use. So the baby has a rash, the house stinks, okay? They don't have plastic bags everywhere they could wrap the diaper in and make it smell proof. They don't have garbages in the cabinet as we do in our suburban cul-de-sac homes. Like, you have the garbage in a cabinet. We don't think about these things. They got the garbage just sitting there and they just put the diaper in there. They don't have plastic bags available. Great state of New Jersey has banned use of plastic bags for businesses. So that actually increased the number of plastic bags, because now people go on Amazon and buy 50, 100 plastic bags for like 10 cents a bag, and they just buy them and use them instead of just waiting till the next time we go to ShopRite or Wawa or something like that. So they actually totally backfired. Believe it or not, this anti-plastic bag movement. I get the environmental element of things. I do get it. I'm not totally discounting that. But nonetheless, the fuqara, the poor. And that's why the soup kitchen is a wonderful thing to have. And if you want to have a soup kitchen, put in the groundwork, do the feeds without a building. Do the feeding without a building. Go and get some people. Get the Abid Chaudhry wants to ask about this shawl. Yeah, I'll give you an update about this shawl. It's actually from the Qatari brothers. There are some brothers that came to Tarim from the land of Qatar. Yeah, which is really a hop and a skip if you think about it, from Qatar to Tarim, maybe 2-hour flight or something. But they said, we want you to remember us, so we're going to gift you with this yellow shawl, which I loved. So, and they said, give us a shout out. So this is their shout out. Talking about the soup kitchen, if you want to start it up, you just get a bunch of people to volunteer to cook food. You buy from Amazon the containers. You say, just fill up a couple containers, and with some extra food every day, you put that in the container. You take the container, and usually you like Friday night or something like that, or Thursday evening, whatever. You put them in the trunk of the car. You go out to where the fuqara live and where the people, usually the day laborers, stop at bus stops and stuff. Where day laborers get picked up, essentially. You go there in the afternoon, 5, 6 p.m. You can go after Jummah even. You open the trunk of the car, you give out the food. It takes 15 minutes. But then they get used to you. If you could do it over and over, Allah will bless you with something bigger. Today we continue with the proofs of revelation. We're going to continue from slide We already did a bunch. We're going to pick up after. We're going to redo. Let's pick up from the Earth's surface because I love that picture. That's page 43. 43. Land to sea ratio. I love that one. Yeah, I love that one. The land to sea ratio. Page 43. And then we have a gift to open up after that. And then we have to look at our GRT operation. We have to look at Yemeni threads, and we have to take your Q&A. And then we'll be done at 3:29. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala. All right, here we go. Omar is set and ready to go. I love this one because the word sea in the Quran to the word land, they do this often. The scholars look at the number of times in which a certain word is mentioned. Like, for example, the word yom, day, is mentioned 365 times. The word night is mentioned the same exact times as the word day because the ratio is exactly the same, 1-to-1. Every day you have a night, and so on and so forth. The word, for example, month, aside from proper names, Shahru Ramadan is a proper name, but the word month mentioned 12 times. Things like that, the ulama looked at, which made you think about what the Prophet is doing. He has a massive family himself. He has a city that he's running. He has enemies everywhere that are trying to kill him and eliminate his whole city. Do you think, does that match with somebody who is able to count the number of things ever mentioned in the verses? It doesn't match like that. So the ratio is 29% for land and 71% for the sea. And when we look at, next slide, when we look at these land ratios to sea from non-Muslim sources, we get 29%. 29%. Let's go to the next image there. I love this image because this image actually tells you which countries take up the most lands. And Russia takes up a lot of land. I wish they had put Africa as a whole continent because that is the biggest continent. Let's go to the next one. Okay, here's one. مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان. Two seas converge together with a barrier between them. So someone said, well, maybe he could have seen that. So my answer to that was, look, you're living in modern times, the information age. You take earth science classes in 7th grade. You have the internet. So did you know this? Most people don't know this, right? So I said this to this because somebody once said, well, somebody could have traveled and this could have been well-known information. I said, yeah, that's a possibility, but let's ask the question, did you know this? And we are people who study earth science. We're living in the modern world, information age. We have the internet, and we didn't know this. How would the messenger have known that? How would any Arab have known that? They don't have schools. They don't have education systems, much less world travelers. They didn't have this. Next one. And here's the picture. Here is the picture. I still didn't find out where in the world the salt and sweet water, brackish water, they call it. I haven't found out where, but I mean, anyone could find that from the internet. Omar's looking it up right here. An estuary, where a river meets ocean. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, that's what it's called. I remember.
Salt water meets fresh water. Yeah, it's an estuary. Fresh water meets. So where would an estuary? There are 5 estuaries. It said there are 5 estuaries. Yeah, list all the estuaries in the world. Omar signed up to ChatGPT, and that's like psh, boom. All right, there's a bunch in North America. Okay, keep going down. I want to see where the Asian ones are. Africa, there's a bunch.
There's 2 in Africa.
Okay, there's 2 in Africa. And tell me where in Africa they are, because if it's in East Africa, the Arabs were right there. Mozambique. Who the heck even, you on modern day cannot tell me where Mozambique is, right? And one's in the Niger River Delta. Forget that. Let's go to Asia.
Nigeria's on that other side.
Ni-
That's like all.
Yeah, Nigeria is way in West Africa, so forget that. Vietnam, China, and Bangladesh. Who would have known these things? You today, we had to search it up. ChatGPT didn't even know. So it's far off to imagine. There's nothing close to the Arab world. There's nothing close to the Arab world. That's amazing. Mozambique. Where is Mozambique?
I think this is all the way down.
It's way south.
This is Nigeria right here.
Way south. Far off. Their closest estuary would have been Bangladesh, which is very far away. When Arabs used to go to India, which part of India did they go to? Not that side. Not the Bay of Bengal side. No. The Arabs went to India, then went to the west end of India, west side of India. Let's skip the next one. Let's, Hadid, we'll skip that. Genetic engineering, embryology. Let's go to embryology. Let's do it again real quick, because I love this one. That's page 52. Type in page 52. I love this one. When we talk about embryology, we're talking about 4 descriptions that the Quran gives us. Numero uno, nutfa, a droplet, little droplet. Number 2, qarar makin, a settled place, closed, enclosed. Because we're talking about a womb this big, but you're talking about a drop this big, that drop could bang around. No, a little settled place within the womb. Then alaqa, a clingy-like thing. This is a description. These are kindergarten-like descriptions, right? Why? Because who was the Quran revealed to? Arabs who didn't have schools, and these are not the Romans and the Persians who have technical terms. But the Quran is also coming to the lowest common denominator of human beings. Everyone knows what a clingy little thing is, right? And then a mudgha. Every human being has at some point spit something out of their mouth and seen what it looks like. So when people look at the Quran, the very simple terms, it's because who is it coming for? The Quran is coming for the baseline of lowest common denominator of human beings. Hence, the revelation came to a very simple group of people, which were the Arabs of the desert. So let's take a look. A drop, a safe depository, a clingy thing, and a chewed lump. Let's take a look go to page 54. And if you look at both the male contribution and the female contribution, they both are drops. They both count as drops. The male thing has a drop with a little tail, and the female contribution is also a little droplet. Okay, so that's next one. Let's go to the qarar and makin. This right here is the settled place. Who is that coming upstairs? Cometh.
We're finished. Should we shut the door?
Yes, if you're finished, you can just close both doors.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So that's your settled place. So this is not floating around the woman's womb. It is suspended. Or not suspended, it's suspended inside of a little qarar. It's like a little, it's made of here, I'm going to read it. Blood. It's called where are the medical people? Cytotrophoblastic shell. So the embryologists are calling it a shell. Okay? And the Quran calls it a settled place. You are safe in this spot. Because it's so tiny and the womb is so big. Let's go to the next slide. This A is the human embryo, and B is the clingy thing on the earth, which is a leech. So the human embryo resembles the leech in that it needs something to suck with or to cling onto and take the nutrients. And that drawing illustrates the similarity between the human embryo and a leech in the alaqa stage, the clingy stage. All right. Next. Here's my favorite one. And I'll tell you why this is my favorite one. Actually, go to the next slide. The next slide's even better. I'll tell you why this is beautiful. Because this combines, this chewed piece, it combines two things. It combines a very high, clear degree of organization and precision. Because if you look at these somites, which eventually will be your back, the back of the baby, the spine, the somites are very precise. Look above the somites, inside the arc, if we can say that this is like a croissant or like a crescent moon, inside it looks like a mangled thing, right? So that shows that this is actually being done on purpose. It's not mangled on accident. Otherwise, the whole thing would be mangled, right? So precision is happening here. The skeletal structure is developing while the rest of the body, you can see the head, the arms, the stomach, and these other parts, they appear like a mangled up, it's like mangled up piece of chew. So when a human chews something, it's mangled up, and where they chew, if they were to spit out a piece of gum, you'd see mangled up gum, but where you last took your last bite, it's organized. And I think we have that. We don't have that on the next page. I wish I had that. Whereas here, Omar is going to look it up. When you look at a piece of chewed up gum, that's what you see. It's mangled, but then there are spots. Look up chewed up piece of gum and then type in Keith Moore, because he did a comparison. Yeah, there you go. Click on that first picture to the top left. So it's very clear. Go down. There you go. You see that? You chew up a piece of gum, that's what you get. Part of it's mangled, and part of it has your teeth mark. It's an amazing observation, or it's amazing proof that this book is not authored by a regular human being, by a human being at all. It's not authored by a human being. This is authored by the creator of humans. And here's an example of that. All right. You chew a piece of gum for a little bit, you take it out, and boom, that's what you got. It looks exactly like the spine at the back is a teeth mark, and then the rest is just mangled up. All right. Okay, let's go to the next slide now. The next slide is the proof of the Quran being from the creator, again by revealing something humans would not have known at that time, which is the nature of the insides of the bee and the origin of honey. So honey emerges out of the stomach of the bee. Allah says, يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا, coming out of its stomachs, more than one. شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ, it's a drink of different colors. All right, so the different colors, we can assume the people of the world knew that there's different kinds of honey. No problem with that. But it's the fact that the honey emits from the stomach. That's the part, that's one of two. There's two parts here. That's one of two. The fact that honey emits out of the stomach. The second part is that bees have two stomachs. And the plural is debatable in Arabic. Does it mean three or more or two or more? It's actually debatable. But here is an example. Go to the next slide. You'll see the pictures, the actual drawings that we have today. There are two stomachs. There's the eating stomach and there's the honey stomach, so that the two don't mix. Its nutrients are not mixed with the honey, so it's not vomiting out honey. It manufactures honey in a whole separate stomach, two different stomachs. And that's what this drawing is showing you, the anatomy of the honeybee. It has a honey stomach and it has a regular food stomach. All right, let's go to the next one, and we'll do this quick. مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها. Allah gives you an example. He is not ashamed. Allah is not embarrassed to give you an example. It's not too little for God to give you an example of the flea or the mosquito or something above that. Now, the logic of the statement should be, he is not shy away from giving you the likeness of a mosquito, or even less than that, right? That's what it should be. But it says above that. So this is what made scholars really wonder about this. Then at some point, someone said, well, what do we take that literally? What if there's literally something above the mosquito? Well, lo and behold, there is something above the mosquito. There's a parasite, and I got microsporidians. They're parasites on many animals, including mosquitoes. And they're the source of the disease. The mosquito gets the bad rap. Mosquito is not the source of the disease. We always say mosquitoes cause malaria and other diseases, right? Mosquito is the transfer. Mosquito gets a lot of bad raps for two reasons. Number one, they spread disease. Number two, they bite you and they suck your blood, right? And they cause you to itch. Well, here's the thing. On one hand, the mosquito is, it's not the one. It's just the transport for the parasite that causes the disease, number one. Number two, a mosquito never bites you for food. A mosquito only bites you if it is a mother that is pregnant and she needs to feed her kids. So every time you whack a mosquito and you see, it gets all bloody because that's like your blood that it's sucking. You just killed a mom and you killed all her little babies. Male mosquitoes will not bite you. It is the female mosquito when she's pregnant and she has to feed her little baby mosquito eggs. Then she bites you. Go to the next slide. It was not until 1922 that a British entomologist discovered a flying, biting midge that clung to the back of the mosquito. And we love in this that the discovery be made by non-Muslims. If a Muslim discovered it, some non-Muslim out there could say, oh, yeah, you're looking for it. And who knows if you may have fudged the data to match your Quran. So Allah has made it in a time where Muslims are not the leaders in science and technology. They're the followers. Non-believers are the ones ahead in science and technology. I have no shame saying that because the religion, Islam, did not come to advance science and technology. That's not the proof of a religion. Proof of religion is how many people still go to it for purpose of life, spirituality, and believe in it despite all the odds against it. So using an electron microscope, the midge was so tiny, cannot see it with the naked eye. And it was filmed sucking blood from the mosquito and leaving its host after getting satisfied. It was recorded on video. I wish we can find that video. Yeah. Let's go to slide number 66. Interesting observation on slide number 66. It says, وَالْخَيْلَ وَالْبِغَالَ وَالْحَمِيرَ لِتَرْكَبُوهَا وَزِينَةً وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. In terms of fiqh, this is Malik's evidence that horses, donkeys, and mules are not made for eating because other verses mention the four-legged creatures like cows and goats and sheep and mentions their purpose, to be eaten. But then when khayl wal bighal and hamir are mentioned, Allah says to ride and for beauty. So this is not our proof. That's a side. What do you guys call it these days? Side adventures? Side quest. So that's a little side, an aside there on fiqh. So it is haram in the Maliki, according to Imam Malik, to eat horses, donkeys, which is wonderful because it keeps the price low. Price for donkeys and mules are cheap in these countries because there's only one. We're never decreasing the population. Anyway, who eats these things? I think the horse is eaten in Central Asia. It's a delicacy. In any event, let's get back to the subject matter here. Horses, mules, and donkeys are riding beasts and adornment, and he creates that which you do not know. This means that there will be created one day a riding beast, things we take for beauty and for riding, which at the time of the revelation is unknown. Allah also says, وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ عُطِّلَتْ, when camels are made redundant. The dominant, of course, the meaning of that in the context is on the day of judgment. When the day of judgment comes, people will abandon their most prized camels. Basically, you will abandon all your wealth because of the fear when the day of judgment is happening. But also, if we just extract that, which is allowed to do in tafsir, just extract that, it means camels will be made redundant one day. And they are. All right. Go next time you go to Umrah, go to Medina and say, I need to go I rent a camel because I need to go to Al-Baik. Right? You'll get laughed at. Nobody rides camels anymore in the cities of Arabia. We just spent the whole winter break between Arabia and Yemen, didn't see a single camel. Not see a single camel. So it used to be their mode of transport. Not anymore. All right, let's go down to page 69. The nations will soon invite one another to devour you just as diners are invited to a dish. It was said, will it be because of our small number on that day? The Prophet ﷺ said, no, rather you'll be many. But you will be like weightless foam of the sea, or the foam on the river. I don't know why they translate it as river. You're like the froth of the sea. Allah will remove the fear of you from the hearts of your enemies and will cast weakness into your hearts. They said, O Messenger of Allah, what is that weakness? Or what's the source of this weakness? Hubbud dunya wa karahiyatul maut. Love of this world and hatred of death. And we see, where is it in the history of humanity? Was there ever a time where the nations surrounded the map? They sat around the map of Muslims and literally, oh, you take Egypt, I'll take Syria, you take India, you take Algeria. Did they ever do this? Of course it happened. We call that colonization. Like a very, very crystal clear example. Literally Sykes and Picot, these three guys, they named the agreement after two guys, but they were three. Two British guys and one French guy. Literally in like a hotel suite. Carved up with a ruler. The Ottoman Empire after the World War. Literally just carved it up as if nothing happened. Just like no worry whatsoever, because they are completely decimated. And they carved it up, right? Any natural person looking at the map, a straight line between Egypt and Libya. Where did that straight line come from? Like Algeria, straight. Algeria to Libya border is like a straight slant. Or like a perfect 75-degree slant. Where are these lines coming from? This is clearly man-made lines, right? If you had like natural countries, they break at mountain peaks, rivers, right? Or mountain ranges, rivers, deserts, or there's like a fuzzy border between the two. That's the old days, right? When borders are natural. Go to Europe and you see all the borders are jig-jag. They're not straight lines, right? So it's clearly an artificial creation, and that's why nationalism to me is a hidden enemy. I say hidden because people are always like, the nationalism, it's not 100% forbidden. But as the method by which we divvy up our lands, our countries in Islam, and we rule based upon that, that's not allowed. That's not allowed. It's not allowed. All right, let's go to the next one. Public indecency. The hour will not commence until people mate in the streets just as donkeys mate. I asked, will that really happen, O Messenger of Allah? He said, yes, it will most certainly happen. The people, and we think about it, we're entering now the second generation of pornography. So we now have parents, the mom and dad, both of them by 8, 9, 10 years old, they see pornography as nothing, right? So when 95 to 100% of your parent population, the parents, they see pornography all the time. And they have they don't necessarily have a belief against it. You go to Texas and you ask them, what do you believe about pornography? Yeah, maybe it's 99% of the people have seen it, but they may be Christians. It's, it's not allowed. Yeah, I mean, maybe we fell into it, but it's not allowed. Can't allow this. But you go to the East Coast or West Coast, yeah, what's the problem? What's the issue? They even have majors right now. There is a suggested major in college. Yeah. The whole sociology, biology, psychology surrounding sexuality and pornography. and there's a guy advocating that pornography should be part of the education in schools, that he's saying, I'm not promoting it, but I'm saying it's so prevalent, schools need to address it. How to address it is going to be different for each school, right? But that's how huge it is. So when you got a second generation now, their parents are totally open about it, or totally used to it. The second generation is totally used to it. Then some third generation comes and says, well, why can't I do this in my front yard? Like, well, seriously, what's the law? Why is there a law against me and whatever doing this in front of my front? It's my front yard. I can do what I want, right?
I'll watch it anyways.
Yeah, you're always watching this anyway. What's the big deal? Or in the local park, right? So it's going to go in front of a town board, and they're going to say, well, I don't know. I don't know why it's not allowed. Old Christian laws, I guess. And it will become lawful to have sex in public. People mate in the streets like donkeys.
In Spain, it's legal.
It's already legal in some countries, huh? Ajib.
You can do it in public. Yeah, it's legal.
It's fun.
In a lot of schools,
Yeah,
a lot of incidents that be happening.
in schools.
Oh yeah, schools are bad.
Schools are bad.
Every single school it says.
There was a story from my high school
Mm-hmm.
where
Take the mic because you're on thingy and you have to talk if you're going to talk.
All right. It's already quite popular
Yeah.
about doing it in public because of the I don't know what you call it, but the risk taking.
Yeah.
So I remember in high school there was this incident where there was these two couples, this couple
Yeah.
where they do it like everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and
Like it's a challenge for them. Do it in a park, do it in a supermarket like that.
I don't know if it was a challenge for them. I think that it was weird. They were like both rebounds to each other. So
Both what?
rebounds.
What's a rebound?
A rebound is like you break up with your girl, so you feel bad, so you just get with someone to make you feel as well.
Where's this story going, man? Jeez. Okay. So they do this in the street and stuff.
They did it on the subway station,
Oh my gosh, jeez.
and the guy told me where he did it.
And they get ticket or what?
Nah, they try to avoid publicity, but it was like risk taking.
What do you, so they don't post this?
No, they don't post it, but they just admitted it to like people.
They got nothing else to do. That's what thing. When you don't have a day of judgment to worry about, do whatever you want. It's insane. Suicide increases. The hour will not commence, page 71, until a man passes by a grave of his brother and says, I wish I were in his place. There's a lot of people who wish they weren't alive. Look at suicide rates only in the last 20 years. Now on page 72. Only in the past 20 years, it's gone up from 10 to 15 or 14 and a half. Crazy. 10 to 15 and a half. Ajib. And that's just here. All right. Let's take a look at the next slide. 73. Wealth and literacy increases. إن من أشراط الساعة أن يفشو المال ويفشو التجارة ويظهر القلم. Go watch one of the BBC old remakes of, like, let's say, the interwar period between World War I and World War II. No, there's an error here. Go to page 73. Hmm? Maybe 72 then. Okay, well, I'll just say it. Yeah, so go to the wealth increase one. Go to that one. Okay, skip. We don't have it? Okay. Anyway, I'll just say it. But there is one that says wealth increases and writing increases. Watch any interwar period BBC, those shows. Just look around. You don't see writing everywhere, right? Go to any modern city, modern town. There's writing everywhere. The written word is everywhere. Way back, you didn't see the written word everywhere. You just see a building. That's it. Today, you cannot find a building without writing everywhere. Enter from here, exit from there. This is this is that. There's advertisements. Secondly, Go ask your grandparents and ask your parents how many people they knew owned a business. It was hard to own a business back in the day. But the Prophet ﷺ is telling us trade will increase. Today, list your 5 friends. Which one of them doesn't have a business? Everyone's got a side hustle. Omar was even 15. He had a side hustle.
I used to sleep in the city overnight.
Yeah, he had a side hustle selling sneakers. He was a sneaker guy. Do you have a side business? Sell panda bears or what?
New York used to snow shovel for money.
Okay, fair enough. But that's like a youth thing. But what about a business, like buying and selling stuff?
Yeah.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
What was your side business?
Selling like test piece.
Everyone used to have a side business, and today everyone has a side business. All right, so let's go to the next one, talking things. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, by the one in whose soul is my hand. And that's how the Prophet used to swear. The hour will not commence until animals speak to people, and the tip of a man's whip and the strap of his sandal will speak to him, and his thigh informs him about what occurs with his family after he left. So let's take a look at these slides. There are a couple things mentioned here. The first thing, here's a wild animal, the bat, which they have figured out how to program the bat sounds to words or to meanings. And very quickly, I don't have a video on this, but we're not going to play the video. But it's basically, they've figured it out. And therefore, they can just put a recorder, and the recorder, whatever the bat says, will feed to text. It'll feed to text. It's amazing. I mean, this is not bad. There's nothing to say that this is bad. It's just telling us what would happen. All right, how about this? The next one. Your sandals speak to you. Here you go. This is the talking shoe. Google has made the first talking shoe. Literally, as the Prophet said, your sandal will speak to you. So this talking shoe, and this is a whole video. You could just look it up. Google makes a talking shoe. Just Google that, and you could watch the video. See, that's why when we say signs, proofs, a sign has to be up there, big and obvious, right? It can't be something that's tucked far away. That's not a sign. If you go on the highway and you need a sign for the exit, it needs to be big. I don't need to look very far to see where the sign is. That's what a sign means, right? You don't have to do more than one click to see the Prophet's prophecy that he said, your sandal will speak to you. It's right in front of us. And it's clunky right now. Look how big the thing is. It's clunky right now. In 2040, how do you think that's going to be? It's going to be this big. It's going to be tucked into any shoe that can talk to you. And what does this shoe do? As the video shows, we're not going to show it here, but the video shows that whatever you set it to on your phone, you control it with your phone on an app. And if you want it to make sure that you get up every hour, it'll talk to you. It'll sense that you're not up. And it'll say stuff like, get up, time to do some jumping jacks, time to do some walking. Next slide. Let's see if we have another picture of it. Yeah, there you go. Google partnered with some company, yes, yes, no, to create the talking shoe that could respond to the wearer's movement and give commentary. They were designed to be playful, have a sense of humor. All right, Bluetooth, another technology, translate the wearer's movements into commentary. And the commentary could be broadcast via onboard speakers. All right. The shoe is designed to motivate the wearer to move. All right. So it doesn't plan to release this shoe to the market yet. It's just an idea. So we'll see what happens. But it's very clear what it is. All right. Let's go to the next one. Your thigh will inform you what's happening with. Why do you have a different slide than I do?
It's a different order. This is the wealth one you spoke
Ah, shoot. Okay, so the thigh will inform you. I have a nice picture here, very simply, that it's your phone is always on your thigh, right? And your phone is therefore always telling you what's happening. It's not there. All right, so let's see what you have there. We'll go by your slides, not mine. The next one, the race for the tallest tower. Keep in mind, it's a race for the tallest tower. I always ask this question. New York's got tall towers. Why is that not a sign of Day of Judgment? Because New York has tall towers because they need it. They have to build up. But this is a different sign. It says, if you see the barefooted Bedouin, al-hufat al-urat, barefooted, naked Bedouin, they are poor. Al-ala, they're poor. They're naked. They don't have anything. People who have zero, no government, no culture, no nothing. Ri'a ash-shah, they do nothing except herd sheep all day, and that's what they've done for generations. Now what happens? يَتَطَاوَلُونَ فِي الْبُنْيَانِ. Now they're racing to build buildings. Racing. Not because they need it. And if you ever drive in downtown, like I've been to Qatar a couple of times, you drive to downtown Qatar, you're in a regular residential area, and you're driving towards the buildings. Anyone who's from New York, Chicago knows when you drive towards buildings, you instinctively expect to slow down and hit traffic, right? You never hit traffic. You just drive straight to the downtown area. And you're like, well, where are all the people? No, most of these buildings are vacant. Oh, one guy told me there was 80% vacancy rate in the towers of Qatar. Like, then why are you building more buildings? It's like a thing for the rich. Have a building. I remember one time he said guy fell in love with the iPod Nano. And he was building a building the shape of the iPod Nano. You just basically have money to waste, basically. Yeah, you have money to waste. فانتظر الساعة. Saudi Arabia. Look at this next headline. Do you have it? Try the next page. Let's see. I hope you have it. This next headline. Look at that. Look at the wording of this Cairo Scene staff writer from April 11th, 2016. Saudi Arabia versus Dubai. What do they call it? The race for the world's tallest tower. Word for word as the Prophet put it. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. يَتَطَاوَلُونَ. They're racing. What is this document say? Or this thing say? The 2020 race for the world's tallest tower. The exact word the Prophet used. يَتَطَاوَلُونَ. They fil bunyan. They're racing. In New York, people are building towers. You need it. It's a business thing. There's not a race in the same way. This is clearly a race. There's no need for it. You're just doing it for the sake. We got money to burn.
Didn't New York cap it at like you can't build above the World Trade? So they're not even trying to build like taller. Like
Good point. Every city has a cap, right?
They capped it because they don't want the World
Yeah.
to be.
They want the World Trade Center to be the highest mark. I think in Chicago it's the Sears Tower or something like that.
I don't know if it's unwritten, but like that's pretty much
Yeah.
what I've heard.
It says here, move over Burj Khalifa. Not one, but two skyscrapers are looking to steal the Guinness World Record for the tallest building, both to be completed in 2020. Will the new record holder reside in Jeddah or in Dubai? Okay. يَتَطَاوَلُونَ. All right. Next one. All right, here we go. This is a big one. This is a big one. And this comes from Nu'aym ibn Hamad's book. Many people say that his hadith are weak in that book. But nonetheless, one of the Habaib of Yemen said, why am I worried about that now when I see it happening, right? Literally word for word what the Prophet ﷺ said in this narration, we see it coming in the form of the people, the group known as ISIS. إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُ الرَّايَاتَ السُّودَ. Let's count now. Number one, they use black flags. فَالْزَمُوا الْأَرْض فَلَا تُحَرِّكُوا أَيْدِيَكُمْ. Do not move to them. What does that mean? Means people will move to them. People will join them, but where would they join them? From the town? No, from outside. Because the Prophet said, don't move. Do not move. That means the followers of this black flag group of people will come from outside in. They will travel to them. That's number two. Don't move your hands and feet. ثُمَّ يَظْهَرُ قَوْمٌ ضُعَفَاء لَا يُؤْبَهْ لَهُمْ. Number three, they're weak and nobody cares for them. Meaning they're like the rejects of society, to say that in an arrogant way. But the Prophet himself saying nobody cares about them. These are people who are failures in life. Okay? They're failures in life. They're not prominent people with a name and a reputation. قلوبهم كزبر الحديد. They are very harsh. Number 4. هم أصحاب الدولة. Number 5. They claim a state. Islamic state. Yep. لا يفون بعهد ولا ميثاق. They break all their treaties. يدعون إلى الحق وليسوا من أهله. They call to the truth, but they're not the people of the truth. Meaning they're saying Islam, Islam, and they're the last people to practice Islam. They're not people. Here's the next one. أسماؤهم الكنى. They go by Abu this and Abu that. Right? Like I always joke with people, the ISIS name is like you would be, well, you're not a dad yet. Are you a dad? No, you're not a dad yet. So your ISIS name, like who are you? The dad. By the way, and you can take any kunya. Abu Tawil. Let's call Umar that. Right? Abu Tawil al-Pakistani, for example. That'll be an example. Abu, the kunya is something that is your attribute or your first son. Abu or Okay. And then nisbatuhum al-qura. What's their nisba? Where did you come from? Right? So for example, you Abbasi is your family. I get to know what is your nisba? What's your origin? Where did you come from? Okay, so which is your family name or your dad's name, right? No, these people don't say that. They say their nation, which matches with the idea that they came from outside, right? So they don't say who their name is. Why? Aren't you not proud of who you are? Or you don't want to be known for who you are? You give me your first name and your last name. Remember when we talked about Ahmad al-Shara? What was his jihadi name? I can't remember his jihadi name, but Abu something is something, right? That's how they all are, or all were. And I said eventually, if he's actually going to go legit, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, right? He's from the Jolan Heights, and Abu Muhammad was his kunya. He had a kunya and a nisbah. Nisbatuhum al-Qura. The Prophet ﷺ said they will call themselves, their last name will be the location where they came from, not their actual family or anything like that. So I said, look, if he's actually going to go straight and be official, he's got to use his first name and last name. Forget these ISIS names, right? وَشُعُورُهُمْ, their hair, murkha. We're on, I think, number 10 now. Their hair is like down, كَشْعُورِ النِّسَاء, past the shoulder. We're not shoulder length, sunnah you could say. No, past the shoulders. Murkha, let loose. Loose, flowing hair. Let's take a look at one of these, each one of these. So the first one. Okay, but I didn't cite that. But let's cite the hadith anyway. I'll say it. حتى يختلفوا فيما بينهم. Okay, we haven't seen this one yet. They will dispute amongst themselves. That's sign number 11.
Didn't that happen already in ISIS and
Yeah, they're disputing themselves all the time.
In Afghanistan,
Yeah, you could say it happened.
there's ISIS and ISIS-K.
Yeah, it's split, I'm pretty sure.
They're always splitting up. They're always splintering up. So yeah, you're saying, yeah, that is true. It already has happened. Then Allah will bring the truth from whoever He wishes. Let's take a look at the pictures now. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Look at the black flags. Unfortunately, and I think this is Mossad work. I think behind ISIS for sure is Mossad. 100%. Well, Obama and they funded Mossad, ISIS to do some damage that they wanted, but ultimately they ended up using the seal of the Prophet ﷺ on their flag to try to make it, I don't know, to try to tarnish that. But here is the black flag. All right, next slide. All right. What did the Prophet say? The Prophet ﷺ said, do not go to them, which implies people will travel to them. Okay? It says here on front line, 40,000 people have traveled to the self-declared Islamic State from 81 countries. 81 countries. They've traveled to ISIS. And the Prophet said, do not go to them. Do not move your legs and feet to go to them. Okay? 64,000 from 57 countries, women and children. All right, next one. Do not go to them implies people will travel them. What is this? Some study says the other travelers, American jihadists who went to Syria and Iraq. Let's go to the next slide. Another proof here. Piece of evidence. Where are ISIS foreign fighters coming from? And they have like a whole graph. Pakistan, India, Indonesia, France, Belgium, Ireland, Switzerland, Norway, United States, Finland. A lot. Yeah. Yeah. All sorts of different countries here. Okay. All right. Next one. It says they are the people of the state. And of course, that goes without saying, because the name of the organization is Dawlat al-Iraq al-Islamiyya. That's the original name of the state, ISI. Dawlat al-Iraq was Sham after that. The nation, the Islamic State of Syria and Iraq. Next one. So let's take a look at the names. Here is Nisbatuhum al-Qura. أسماءهم الكنى ونسبتهم القرى. Abu Mus'ab al-Zarqabi. Abu. And then the last names. Now, by the way, this is not bad or wrong in one sense. Just by itself is not a problem. It's not, of course, we see the Sahaba, Abu and Ibn. That's not a problem. But it seems to be here, this seems to be linked with the fact that لا يؤبه لهم. They are not a respectable people. They're hiding their identity. If you're doing something so noble, why are you hiding your identity? Right? So they have to hide their identity. And it shows that they're coming from far away. Right? From other countries. So again, the concept of a kunya and a nisba is not wrong. A nisba of a qarya. But when its purpose is to hide an identity because you're an anon, right? No one knows who you actually are. And that's not how Islam spreads, through anons. And that's not how anything acceptable goes on. You need to know who you are. Let's go down to their hair and say a picture of this. How many Arabs, Muslims, do you know have long hair past the shoulders? Not many, right? Yeah, more names. But look at this. Many of them, of these guys. Here's 5 random ISIS guys. 4 out of the 5 have hair that goes past their shoulders. And look at the guy on the right. Right? His hair is way down.
The other guys have curly hair, so if you straighten it.
If you straightened it, that would be way down. The guy on the left looks like someone we know, but he's not. All right, let's go to the next slide. Look at this. Look at these guys.
This guy looks like someone right here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. Hector. Look at these. Every single one of them in these pictures. And this is just random. Just look up guys from ISIS. Why are they having hair that's long like this? Firstly, when you go to war, you do the opposite. You cut your hair. Or you braid your hair. The Arabs used to braid their hair when they went to war to collect it. You don't want your hair all over the place when you're at war. So this is like antithetical to being at war. To have your hair murkha kashu'ur nisa, like the hair of women. That's the end for the ISIS ones. Right? But how many proofs in one hadith? And that's why one of the Habayib of Yemen, he said, you're telling me it's a weak hadith, but I see it right in front of me. Right? All right, let's go to the next one. All right, go ahead. خلق كل إنسان من بني آدم على 60 و300 مفصل. Human beings are created upon 360 joints. Now here's the thing, joints are wherever 2 bones meet. It doesn't necessarily have to have ligament between. So you oftentimes have situations where you can't tell that there's a joint. Like in the skull, we can't really feel it. Let's go to the next headline. And here's your basic AI overview. Yes, the human body has around 360 joints. Let's go to the next one. All right, here is verywellhealth.com. How many joints are in the human body? 360 joints. The adult body has 360 joints. Okay, some of them are immovable, like the sutures in your skull. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Killing with no motive. والذي نفسي بيده لا يأتين على الناس زمان لا يدري القاتل في أي شيء قتل or قتل ولا يدري المقتول في أي شيء قتل. The killer doesn't know why he killed. The victim has no clue why they were killed. Go to most of these mass shootings. So many. Here, go to the next headline. Go to the next page. Homicide without an apparent motive. This is a common thing. There's a paper being written about it. If it was a one-off thing, would it be worthy of a paper in behavioral sciences and the law? I don't think so. But this idea of killing without a motive, it's prophesied by the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the paper is being written here in the summer of first published in 1988, killing without a motive. Now it's very popular. Half the people who kill have no motive these days. Like, I'm talking about the mass shootings, not the murder of a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife. I'm talking about the mass shootings. You killed students. Why those students? Killing it. Khalas. Next one. Looking like the opposite gender. Does it even need commentary? من اقتراب الساعة تشابه الرجال بالنساء والنساء بالرجال. And that's what transgenderism is. It's tashabuh. It's trying to look like a female. You are not a female. You will never be a female. Whether it's putting a wig and lipstick and that's it, as there's a group of people known for this in Pakistan, right? You're aware of this, Omar?
Yeah.
Okay. This is known. But those guys aren't doing surgeries. So they're just doing it with what they have, which is just basically, they're playing dress up. Tashabuh. Here, once you get the surgery or the hormones, it doesn't change what you are. It's tashabuh, making yourself look like the opposite gender. All the Muslims were proud now that the United States officially now will or has already by executive, is it by executive order? I hope it's not by executive order, because executive order could just be undone as soon as the next president comes in. But Trump said that officially their U.S. government only recognizes males and females. So those are some, it's not all, of the Dala'il an-Nubuwah, the proofs of prophethood. Not all, just some. All right, let's see that. So that one is a sharp rise in transgender young people in the U.S. Of course, it's just because it's a trend, nothing more. People aren't actually really. I personally think it's like 99%. It's just following a trend. Yeah, socially organized and engineered through TV, through everything. And when you get onto it, when your mind realizes this, that you realize you're being engineered every day. Netflix, that's all they do, is engineering. It's literally like a social engineering platform. Next. And that's it. Let's go to your Q&A. I want to talk about something else. I mentioned, it was incomplete. I never finished talking to you yesterday about the avoid disaster diet. I have expertise in this. Yeah. I'm not a fitness guy, but I'll tell you what I am. I can very confidently get anyone who's in a disaster mode off of disaster mode. So I wasn't done yesterday talking about the avoid disaster diet. So I said the first thing is hydration, and you drink a lot of water, like 4 of these a day. These big ones, these big jugs that people get, or whatever they're called. 4 of those a day. Your hydration, number 1. Number 2 is your sleep. And that's where we cut off yesterday, because I said, try one day, do this crazy thing where you sleep at 9 p.m. That's crazy, right? But you can't do that sustainably. So the key is between 9 and 10:30. That's a 90-minute window consistently to sleep, hopefully before 10. Before 10 is an A. 10 to 10:30, you get a B. But don't go from 10:30 to 11. That's a C. Anything beyond that is bad. So sleeping right, sleeping early. Between 9 and 10 is you start your unwind. And if you can sleep before 10, you get an A. 10 to 10:30, you get a B. 10:30 onwards, it's a C. 10:30 to 11 is a C. And 11 onwards, you failed. You're not going to benefit. Your body needs that rest. So the second thing, so first thing is hydration, second thing is rest. The third thing, stretching. People's joints, over time, your muscles start to cramp up, you get messed up, and most back pains, most people's issues, they don't know how to stretch. Right? Omar's really going at this guy. Stop regurgitating unrelated low IQ, fit in the points. Man, what did... Oh, like that? No, you can't talk about the Salihin like that. You can't talk about Abdul Qadir al-Jazairi like that. Yeah. Yeah. So the third one, every morning for the first 4 minutes, when you get up, you got to learn to stretch your arms. You got to yank, right? You got to stretch. And you got to stretch your around your hip area. So you get on your back, you roll your knee up and over. That stretches. You got to stretch. However, anyone could watch videos on how to stretch, right? But you got to stretch, okay? That's the third one. The fourth one, get rid of all these sugars, sodas, all these things. This is the disaster, right? Sugar and soda and all. Now, what that'll do is if you're like very overweight, you'll just be overweight, right? That's what the avoid disaster diet will do. Whatever bad thing is, you'll be less bad. Remember, you're saying, oh, why are you speaking this? Do you have expertise? Yes, I have expertise in avoiding disaster. I'm not saying you're going to be the next model out there, but this is the avoid disaster. So, all right, that's number 4. Number 5. Number 5 is for your skin. Now, this is a sunnah too. The Prophet ﷺ used to use so much olive oil on his skin, they would see the patches of it on his clothes. So, olive oil, coconut oil, any one of these. You know what I like? The stuff that has one ingredient. Olive oil. And I want to talk about olive oil, I'm talking about green olive oil. Not this garbage they sell in the supermarket, which is fake. Is yellow. And is a huge thing like this for like $8. Fake. No, either real olive oil from the Arab store, from the Lebanese stores, or coconut oil. But this stuff is good for your hands, your skin, your hair. And this is a sunnah too. And the last one, number 6, your spiritual health, is you pick up one of these and you do 1,000 of anything. A day, all day, driving, walking, sitting, non-stop with the misbah in your hand. Non-stop with the misbah in your hand, anything. 1,000, at least 1,000. You get one of these with a counter. Eventually you won't even need to count. You'll do so much, you'll pass 1,000 easily. Driving, sitting, things like that. Okay? So that's basically your 6 points. But maybe 7 would be the ideal number, right? Let's think. Did I have... Okay, if we want to put a 7th one, there needs to be social health. Maybe that should be it. Omar, maybe these aren't ready yet because they're not cropped out.
I can crop them.
You know how to crop these out? Okay. I'll tell you. Let's see. You go up again. Up. Yeah, that one on the left right there. 470. Use that one. That's a good one. Okay. The 7th one, social health. If you have a family, you should eat a dinner or breakfast or lunch with your family 5 times a week. 4 to 5 times a week. If not, go to the masjid. If you don't have a family, you're a single guy, go pray in the masjid because for the sake of meeting people, you got to meet people. But that's part of the avoid disaster diet. Social health. So that's 7 points. Simple, right? But people were asking me about this avoid disaster diet, and we were cut short yesterday. All right, what are your thoughts now to go to QA on Trump lifting sanctions on West Bank settlers? Well, we know that the Gaza ceasefire there has to be something to it, right? There's got to be something to it. There's no way they're just going to stop. So now they're turning their attention to the West Bank. Now we know what the catch is. There's got to be a catch. All right, let's go to the Q&A now for the next few minutes. I don't face northeast in Salah. I heard any easterly direction is fine. Well, the logic behind that is this, is that from common sense, let's say we had no knowledge of aerodynamics or how planes travel. Common sense would inform us that the Qibla is southeast. Correct or incorrect? Right? We get snow here. Mecca is really hot. Therefore, we are north of Mecca, so southeast. So that's one of the methods of knowing, of determining the Qibla. It's not an outrageous method. But the Qibla is northeast for another opinion or another methodology, which is the earth is oblong. The earth is not a round surface such that whichever direction you go, it's the same length of time. It's oblong. So when it's oblong, the fastest route, if you were to go southeast, you would have to go outward on a plane, let's say, out like this and over, take longer. The shorter route would be go north and then dip down because you would be traveling on the shallow part of the earth. All right. So hence, flights, when they take off going east, they always go north, right? Remember, it's a three-dimensional planet that we live on. So if you were to go straight east or southeast, you would have to go out, way out, and then in. But if it's an oblong, boom, you go north. Based upon that, the Qibla, you could say, is northeast. And if southeast and if northeast and southeast both have valid directions, then all east then at that point. Because it would make no sense. Because anyway, they overlap in the area in which there's some, that margin that you have. The Qibla does not have to be followed by like a laser direction. No, you have a margin of direction, which is 90 degrees, 45 degrees on both sides. So if you take the 45 degrees from the north side, 45 degrees from the south side, therefore east is valid. And that's the logic of people who say any easterly direction is valid. That's the logic that they're giving. All right, Q&A here. What else do we got here? What is a good target to recite the Quran in? A hizb a day or a juz a day? Someone said the best food to eat is what your ancestors have been eating and survived on for centuries. Makes sense, but I can't tell you. What's that? Not Daisies. Yeah. Where can we find the PDF you were reading from? We'll put it out there. I'll send it to everybody. Okay. I'll send it to everybody later on. If you're not on my Telegram, go to my Telegram and I'll send it there. I'll send it to my Telegram. In the meantime, I'm going to fire up the GRT and let's see how we're doing. Flossie B, how does a person see the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their dream? Read a lot of seerah, do a lot of salawat, and also remove a lot of distractions from your mind. Is it permissible for a man to lead a group of non-mahrams in salah? Multiple people, not just one person. So man, woman, no. Man and multiple women, yes. Is the law of attraction have evidence in Islam? We talked about this many times before, but let me tell you a couple things. Number one, non-believers are oftentimes left to their own devices, but believers, Allah gives them inayah, and He removes what is bad for them. He doesn't give them what they want, which is bad for them. So that's one thing. Secondly, there are a couple things that the law of attraction, these ideas are sound and correct, and just based on common sense, but also we have revealed confirmations of these things, and some are against our aqidah. So let's talk about what's against our aqidah. Number one is that we are doers. That idea that you are going to attract something, we should get out of our mind. We hold the fa'il is Allah, and we are merely take asbab. The real doer of things is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we merely perform the means to do these things because we've been commanded to. That actually removes pressure off of us. So I do what I can do, and that's it. Right? I put my best effort. The result is not on me. The actual doer is not me. That's the number one piece of aqidah that has to be corrected when people watch law of attraction stuff. Now, what is positive from bad? What is acceptable? What is good? A positivity, persistence, and the power of the intent that's in your mind. The power of making an intention in your mind. The power of harnessing, sending your thoughts in a positive direction rather than the negative direction. All of this, we could say, human beings have thought of this. Human beings have said good things about these things, but the Prophet confirmed it. So for us, there's demonstrable evidence, which is a successful person told us this is his way of success. All right, wonderful. To me, that's just an observation. But when the Prophet comes and confirms it with a hadith, now it's religion. Now I know this is the truth, right? That's how we look at any phenomenon. Law of attraction, law of this, that, and the other, whatever it is. All right. This brother asks about the mustache that goes over the lip. Not allowed to have that. It's makruh. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, trim the mustache. Now, we also said earlier in other streams that Malik severely disliked shaving the mustache, and he said such a person should be hit who does that. To remove the mustache altogether is not allowed according to Malik. He said none of the companions or the tabi'in ever did this. They trim the mustache. And he says you're deforming yourself. It's an ugliness, he said. They're very severe. And he said he should be hit and made to feel some pain for doing this thing. Of course, we respect the other madhahib who hold that to be permissible. Okay. Can fire and heat remove najasa? Yes. Yes. Najasa can be removed by something solid, by pure water, or by fire. We got to use credit cards to get our credit score up. What's your opinion on that? You just make sure you don't pay the late fees. You're good to go if you don't pay the late fees. All right, we got GRT ready to go? All right, let's fire that up. 12,388 British pounds for the Syria winter appeal. No problem. Let's get that up to 12,400. Every live stream, we want to give some sadaqah and encourage sadaqah. This is وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. So, but what do I ask? No, nothing. Very little bit. So that's, every day we do a little bit of math too. So since that it would make it 6 and 2, 26p, and then that takes us to 389. So that would take us to, we would need $11, 11 pounds and 12 cents. What did I say? 11, let's say 12 pounds. That's all we need from you. There are 200 people watching the stream. All we're calling for is 12 pounds. Yeah, 11 pounds and what? 21 cents. 11 pounds and 26 cents. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to get good at math by the end of this. 11 pounds and 26 cents is what we're asking from you. Thoughts on donating 1% of your income to charity? That's wonderful. Wonderful. What's wrong with that? Can I eat cheese with animal rennet? Yes. Can you do an NBF dedicated to health, diet, and fitness and its importance in relation to Islam? Well, Kashif, did you hear my 7 points of avoid disaster, lifestyle, diet, routine, whatever?
Ahmed Fahmy next week.
And we have Ahmed Fahmy too.
We're gonna have one on this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ahmed Fahmy can provide you with the Superman diet and physical fitness. I can provide you the avoid disaster. I'm an expert at it. Albert Rick says, how do we increase yaqeen? Yaqeen is by reading the stories of the prophets, is by contemplating the Quran and remembering Allah much. Part of our avoid disaster is the spiritual health by picking up one of these. I'm trying to do the easiest thing. Because remember, this person is in a disaster mode. You need something really easy. Pick one of these up that has a counter. You probably got one in your drawer or your grandma's drawer. Or you buy one for 2 cents. And you keep using it all day. La ilaha illallah. You hear someone talk about subhanallah, bihamdihi, subhanallah, recite some of that. Right? You go over this 10 times a day, minimum. So that's 1,000. You remember it 1,000 times in a day. Your heart, by the end of a week of doing that, is going to be a different heart. Scrubbing, 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 scrubbing. Adding honey. You have a really bitter food. All right, what happens if you add 100 drops of honey a day? That's it. There's one little drop. Takes you literally not even 1 second. La ilaha illallah. Then you take 1 second. But you do this all day. You got it in the car. Some of you ride trains in England. You're sitting on the couch after dinner, right? Non-stop. Alf marra. Any dhikr of Allah Ta'ala. This for spiritual. That will literally will take you outside of the avoid disaster realm. And if you don't pray, you still do this because this will make you pray. Because now when an angel whispers to you, you got to pray, your heart's already moving. You'll pray. You know that there was Sheikh Al-Bushishi, Hamza Al-Bushishi, rahimahullah, I think he passed away. When he used to get these hoodlums and stuff off the street, gangsters in Morocco, drug dealers, all these terrible people, or I'm not saying terrible people, I'm going to say people who are in a terrible state. We cannot be arrogant, right? But their state was terrible, and they would do bad deeds their whole life, drugs, everything. And they would go to him because he was known for being so lenient with and easygoing with sinners. So what was his method? The misbah. And people would say to him, they need more basic things than this. Right? Who knows if they know how to do tahara properly? Do they know their aqidah? Do they even pray? He said, I know all that. But if we're going to clean the house, we have to turn the lights on. Right? There needs to be some light inside the heart so that we could see where the problems are. So they could see where the problems are. So he used to give them the misbah. And he would put more weight on the bar. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Until now, the guy does so much dhikr, but he doesn't pray. He starts to think this is ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. And he prays on his own. Right? Or the dhikr, you cannot clean the basement with the lights off. With dim lights. If the light is dim in the basement, you can't clean. We need all the lights on. Now we could say, oh, there's a cobweb there. This table's a mess, blah, 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 blah. That's how it works. And the avoid disaster lifestyle, what are we going to call this? I guess the avoid disaster diet, ADD. Yeah, most of us have attention deficit disorder on top of that, right? So the avoid disaster diet. Spiritual health. Pick up the misbah. Do 1,000 a day. Yeah, you know the brother who's in the all the commercials, Mansoor, is coming on. Shaman Mansoor, right? Mansoor Shaman.
He's traveling, so we're gonna.
Yeah. Is a secret marriage valid? Secret meaning they have two witnesses, but they didn't publicly announce it. It's valid, but it's sinful. You have to announce it. We can't say it's invalid, though. We fulfilled the two witnesses at the very least. Is nail polish considered tabarruj? Well, nail polish outside for non-mahram men, non-family, outside the husband and the family, the zina in general is not allowed. That would attract the gaze of a man and the attraction of a man. It's not allowed in general. The nail polish is one of them. Let's see what Anonymous is saying. Okay, good. Is zakah due on expensive sneaker collection? Says Jamie Adams. No, there's no zakat on sneakers, but there is possibly a qadh in muru'ah. Now, who am I talking to? Am I talking to a brand new Muslim? No, buy sneakers as much as you want. Barely teetering, barely 5 times a day Muslim, buy as many sneakers as you want. Doesn't make a difference. But if we're talking about born Muslim in Islam, seeking knowledge, and he's cooked in Islam, then in that case we would have to say that buying up a sneaker collection, maybe for you makruh. Ida'atul mal, waste of money. It's not appropriate for a man to have a sneaker collection, right? So it depends who we're talking to. All right. Here's another question. If you make dua for something in the near future and it doesn't happen, does it mean one of the other two options occurred? Well, for T-Tran, the asker of this question, if you make dua for something to happen and it doesn't happen in the near future, how do you know it won't happen in the further future? So we should not pull the plug on our desires and hopes and prayers, because that's the way to ensure that it will not happen. So no, this is no. And if you pull the plug on a prayer because you don't want it anymore, that's up to you. Then you'll get rewarded to praying to Allah for that, and the reward will be the increase of your iman. And inshallah, Allah will give you something for that on the Day of Judgment on top of the increase of your iman. But if you want something, don't rush. Don't now just, because it didn't happen right away, I lost patience now, I'm going to pull the plug on my prayer. No, that's not the right way. You have to continue doing that prayer. And hopefully it'll happen in the future. And guess what? Here's the beauty of it. How generous is Allah. And this is how the Habaib interpret it. Let's say you prayed for something for 10 years. 10 years. How many times did you make dua for it? Oh, can't count. Hundreds of thousands. Let's say 100,000 times. I prayed for this 100,000 times, and then Allah gave it to me. Habib Omar says, He gave it to you, that is in place of one dua. 99,999 of those prayers, you get the other rewards for. And we know that famous hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, either it's answered, or you get for it, it removes a hardship for you, or Allah gives you something better, or Allah elevates your rank in the afterlife for it. For those prayers that weren't answered. So you prayed for 10 years for something, and you finally got it. You got it, that replaces one dua. But all those 99,999 other prayers, you'll get one of the other 3 rewards for it. SubhanAllah. How generous. Me and my husband have a matchmaking initiative in our region, says Rabi'ati. Are we permitted to make match meet with us both in their presence? Or must absolutely bring the wali? A Muslim woman may have general permission from her dad to meet who she wants in an Islamic environment. So if that's the case, then yes, you can meet with the two of them. But if the woman, her dad told her, no, you cannot go meeting guys, even if you're with the imam himself, without my permission, then no. So you should ask the girl, do you have your parents' permission, even generally, to be meeting other people? And if she says yes, then khalas, good for you. And good for her. I feel numb when I give sadaqah online. Is this still valid? 100% it's valid. Aren't you losing money? You feel numb? Don't you feel hurt? Every human being, when he parts with some money, he feels a little bit of a pinch, right? You get rewarded for that. But if you want to give sadaqah in person, you can follow what our guys did here, which was they went out, bought a bunch of food, and would give it out to people. Or go give the poor people money yourself. If a person tries to repent, but he doesn't feel remorse in his repentance, his remorse should be up in here in his mind, even if he doesn't feel it in his heart, because his heart is so hardened to it. Maybe he should feel it up here, and he should stop doing it, and he should make istighfar, and he should say that he's remorseful, even to himself. When you make dua with certainty that the response is coming, should you still make the same dua, or should you stop because you're certain? You keep going, of course. Why? Because dua is not just to gain something. Dua, its true purpose is to humble ourselves to Allah Ta'ala and to obey His commandment. His command to pray, to supplicate, to ask. And even there's a famous qasida of Imam al-Haddad took from the words that are allegedly or reportedly stated from Sayyidina Ibrahim. قَدْ كَفَانِي عِلْمُ رَبِّي مِنْ سُؤَالِي وَاخْتِيَارِي. And many people think that's blasphemous. No, you didn't read the rest of it. فَدُعَائِي وَابْتِهَالِي شَاهِدٌ لِي بِافْتِقَارِي. What it means is that he says Allah's knowledge is sufficient for me to have to tell Him what I need. I don't have to say or ask what I need. Allah knows already. So the real reason for it, فَدُعَائِي وَابْتِهَالِي شَاهِدٌ لِي بِافْتِقَارِي. So when I do make dua, its real goal of it is to show that I need my Creator. I am expressing my need for my Creator. That's the real essence. You're not informing Allah Ta'ala. He knows already what you want. He knows already what you're going to get. So one should make dua properly, knowing that that's not the goal. The goal is not to tell Allah something that He doesn't know. That doesn't exist. There's nothing that Allah doesn't know. The goal is not to express to Allah that you have a need. He already knows you have a need. The goal is not to change my destiny. My destiny is already written. But the goal is to increase in our servitude to the Creator, our servitude to Allah Ta'ala. And the true orbit of the human being is to know that he is in need of his Creator at every moment of every day. And so in our mind, we want something, we ask for it, no problem. But get the aqidah straight. You're not informing the Creator. Of course, the day-to-day psychology of dua is, I want something badly, let me ask Allah Ta'ala. The day-to-day psychology may not be that Allah already knows, but now you learn aqidah, you should know Allah already knows, but that doesn't mean you don't ask. And your asking is also preordained. So you may ask the question, well then, if I didn't make dua, will I still have gotten it? Yes, but without the iman. When you get it after dua, you get it with an increase of iman and with rida of Allah Ta'ala and with blessing. If you get it without dua, then you don't get those blessings. So which one is better? Just getting it with dua. I feel like my dua is almost useless. I've been making a dua so much. I've been hurt many times. I've questioned why no answer is coming. Well, number one, we have to have sabr. Number two, we have to check our income. We have to check our food and make sure it's lawful. And we have to avoid sins. And then we have to have patience. Ladies and gentlemen, jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat. Wa tawasaw bil haqq. Wa tawasaw bis sabr. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah.
Aşkınla arasında yıldızlar kadar zikredin. Uzat şarabından için şu canı aşkla versinler. Ya kalbe şifa ver.